Welcome to Shooting It Straight with Stan. I'm your host, Stan, the Annuity Man, America's annuity agent, licensed in all 50 states. I want you to say hello to my little friend over here, Mr. Grinch. Can we sing it? You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You're such a crazy cat. That's pretty good, isn't it? You know, some people call me Mr. Happy, Mr. Grinch, Mr. Positive, whatever. But I thought, it would be good for him to join me, especially for this topic, which is if you'd owned it 10 years ago. Now, if you've been to the bad chicken dinner seminar, the expensive steak dinner seminar, the marble office with the guy that says he has the too good to be true product, gives you upfront bonus, market upside with no downside, unicorn stage, your body flat. And you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, that sounds too good to be true. And then all of a sudden they whip out this proposal that says, if you'd owned it 10 years ago, Mr. Jones, Chester, and Martha, if you'd have owned this 10 years ago, look at these returns. Look at these fantastic returns on this fixed index annuity or index variable life or whatever those life insurance policy things that they sell out there with, tax-free income. No, it's not tax-free income. It's a loan. Loans are all tax-free because it's a loan. But the reason my friend Mr. Grinch is with me here because he has the right eyebrow level on this. Like, what? What? Say what on the 10-year back tested? 10-year back tested, if you owned it 10 years ago, let's go through that. If you'd have done sit-ups every day for the last 10 years, if you'd have been nicer to everybody for the last 10 years, if you'd have eaten better for the last 10 years, if you would have not drank so damn much alcohol there, Chester. Sorry for the French. Last 10 years. Hindsight's 2020, player. Correct? It is a mission of mine in life, other than to be a rock star one day, but that's a whole nother story. But to get rid of the back-tested numbers, the if you had owned it 10 years ago numbers. In some states, it's illegal. Why? Because it should be illegal. It's garbage. Especially with Index Universal Life or which I don't sell. I don't sell life insurance. Love life insurance. Best return on investment. You'll never see why, because you're dead. Nod your head. That did rhyme. But when the agent really kind of pushes this, if you'd owned it 10 years ago, Chester, it's index annuity sales pitches. And boy, are those numbers juiced. Unbelievable. Now, what they fail to tell you with the majority of indexed annuities, the carrier can change the rules on how the gains are calculated. And they also don't tell you that when it was introduced in 1995 as a category, I was around back then. I know you're saying there's no way, Stan. You're so young and vibrant. There's just no way that you were around back then in 1995. Well, I was. And they were designed to compete with CD returns. And spoiler alert, index annuities compete with CD returns. We have nothing against index annuities. What I have against them is how they're being sold, how they're being pitched, how they're being promised, how they're being shown, how they're being fictitiously put in front of people, back-tested numbers. I had a good friend of mine out of Portland, Oregon, one of the great cities of all time and a musical hub, by the way, if you're into live music. He sent me an indexed annuity proposal with the back-tested numbers that, I about got on the plane and flew to Washington and just said, hey, Miss Yellen, just buy this. Look at this. Look at these back-tested 10-year numbers. The annuity industry needs to clean this up. Okay? When I was in the stockbrokers world, the wealth, they talk like this, the wealth management with Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, Payne Weber, and UBS. And we talk like this because we didn't have enough time to open our mouths, and people with real money just don't, you know what I'm saying? And they laugh like that. And it's kind of a joke. Mutual funds that were like the one last year or the year before are crap going forward. I don't know why. It just happens. Not all the time, but most of the time. But for someone to say, well, you really should own this for market upside with an indexed annuity, that's nonsense because A, it's not a market product. B, it's not a security. C, it's a fixed annuity. And then there's all kinds of D, E, Fs, and G. We have no problem with index annuities. Like I said, we do sell a bunch. How do we sell them? Good question. I'm glad you asked. You can attach what's called an income rider, an income benefit at the time of the application for future lifetime income. It's a separate calculation. It rides on top of the policy. We use the indexed annuity as an efficient delivery system for that income rider guarantee. But currently, at the time of this taping, check the date, you're better off if you're wanting growth, like with the G, like normal, realistic growth. Don't come in with, Stan, I'd be really happy with 8 to 9%. Yeah, sure. Okay. They build statues of those people on Wall Street beside the bull. Doesn't happen. Get your mind in line with the reality, and the bull market's over, player. Okay, you're going to start throwing some serious darts and be a good dart thrower in order to make money. But the 10-year back test is nonsense with the companies they're showing. It's nonsense. And my favorite is when they take indexes made up out of thin air, like you never heard of it. It's called the Quirky Lorky Morky Index. And, if you'd have owned it 10 years ago, you would have averaged about 13.5% return, sir, with no downside. Well, the Quirky Morky Florky Index was created about 6 weeks ago. How do you do a back test of return over 10 years on something that hadn't been around but 6 weeks? Hello? The annuity industry could clean this crap up if they would just stop that. Stop showing the hypothetical, theoretical unicorns chasing the butterfly returns. And people, they're upset about it because why? It doesn't turn out that way. How about this? If I said, hey, indexed annuities, would you be happy with a 2 to 4% or 2 to 5% return, no downside, locked in every time every year that it locks in that gain, if there's a gain? Would you be happy with that? I mean, be rational. Yeah, okay. That's an index annuity. But to make decisions on 10 and 12 and 13, and maybe that unicorn chases the butterfly 1 year, but the blended return's never going to work like that. So if someone says to you the following in some form or fashion, if you'd owned it 10 years ago, look what the returns you could have made. Look at how it performed if you'd owned it 10 years ago. Give me a break. Put anything in front of if you would have 10 years ago. If you would have 10 years ago. I mean, a lot of us would want that, right? Never comes true. And for whatever reason, people fall for that. They fall for that in combination. Once the agent says, well, if you'd owned it 10 years ago, Chester, you'd have made a kill. And let me just tell you something else, Chester. Just because I like you, we're going to give you an upfront bonus, 25, 35, 32, 39%, whatever the bonus is. And Chester goes, what? Well, I'm telling you something right there, son. That's a pretty good deal. The upfront bonus, market outside or downside. That's my Charleston voice. Oh my gosh. It's duck season. It's commission duck hunting season. Come on. If you don't know who the sucker at the table is in Vegas, guess what? It's you. Don't be the rube. Don't be the sucker. Don't be the person that's hoping and dreaming and like, whoa, I found this. Look at this product. It's called an indexed annuity. And it market returns, no downside. How about CD type returns and no downside? Nothing wrong with that. How about CD type returns and you can attach an income rider for future income? And we're going to shop all income riders to find the best income rider guarantee. How about index annuities with the rider with confinement care and enhanced benefit if you cannot qualify for long-term care as a last resort type coverage? How about that? Nothing's wrong with that. How about explaining the upfront bonus? There's 100 pennies in the dollar. Okay, there's not a philanthropist at the annuity company waking up in the morning going, you know what? I really like humanity, and I think I'm going to give some money away today, and we're just going to do it with an upfront bonus. No, there's 100 pennies in a dollar. They're taking it from somewhere. It could be applied to the income account. It could work in your favor. It might not work in your favor, but it's not free money. Okay? It's just not. So we have to clean things up out here. I am screaming into a hurricane. You've been in Florida. You know what that means. No, I mean, barely anyone hears you, but you try. I'm screaming into a hurricane so that somebody you know, 1 here, 2 there, 10 here, 20 people watch this video, hundreds of people watch this video, and I save them from the 10-year back-tested sales pitch garbage, BS, crapola, because that's what it is. And for any agents and advisors that are watching this, stop it. Stop it. My gosh. Do you want to answer those questions when it doesn't come true? Hey, Mr. Agent, you said 10 years ago I'd be getting 10 and 12 and 13 and 7 and 9 and 8, and I'm getting 2 and 3 and 4 and 3, just like Stan the Annuity Man said. You don't want those calls. You want clients to be happy. You want clients to understand the realistic return expectations. And as the consumer out there, if it sounds too good to be true, it is every single time. If the 10-year back-tested numbers, if you owned it 10 years ago, if those numbers look too good to be true, it is every single time without exception. Make your buying decisions on the contractual guarantees of the policy, because guess what, Chester? You're going to get a contract. We call it a policy, but it's a contract. Annuities are for-profit businesses, okay? I've written a book on index annuities. I know what I'm talking about. I've done hundreds of videos on all of this stuff, index annuities, etc. I know what I'm talking about. I always kid that I think there's 5 people in the world that truly understand index annuities, and I believe I know the other 4. It's complicated. I had a guy the other day, I'll close with this. He goes, well, you know, I asked for that specimen policy, that index annuity, and I got it. And did you know, Stan, sometimes there's mathematical formulas with letters in it? I said, yeah. You know what that is, Chester? That's called calculus. It's called advanced math. It's very, very complicated. Nothing wrong with index annuities. They were put on the planet in 1995 to compete with CD returns, and that's exactly what they do. But if it sounds too good to be true, it is. So if you owned it 10 years ago and someone asked, well, look what happens if you'd owned it 10 years ago. Say, stop. Because if I'd have done 100 sit-ups 10 years ago, I'd have six-pack abs. And with that being said, I don't have six-pack abs because I didn't do 100 sit-ups every day for the last 10 years. And you didn't either. So don't buy the dream, because you're going to own the contractual reality. And with that, Mr. Grinch, smile. Exactly. See you next time.